But I've been cleared to return to full active duty. So that being said, I'm excited. But before I get I know you guys want to ask questions about that, but I'd like to talk about the team and stuff like that. But as far as my stuff, I want to thank the university. Obviously, our administration, the president, owner, the board of trustees, Mike Bone, and everybody for being so supportive during the last 3 months, which for me seemed like 3 years when you can't coach your team. But meant a lot to myself, my family, my daughter. So that was huge, and I appreciate it. And I am really obviously appreciative to Coach Davis and my staff. You know, Larry would be the first one if he was down here. He's up in the office recruiting where he loves to be. But if he was down here, he'd be the first one to tell you that Antoine and Darren did an unbelievable job, as well as the young guys on the staff. Mark Berger changed his role really the most in the middle of the season, going onto the court and taking over some of the game planning duties and scouting duties that Larry had to take over. So everybody stepped up. I'm really proud of the team and what they accomplished. You know, while I was going through what I was going through, I think is a huge statement about where our program is at and where it's poised to go in the future. That we were able to survive the head coach not being able to coach the team really in the middle of the season, entering the conference plays. I think we're probably the first program in major college history to be able to survive that and make the NCAA tournament. So I think a few of our players did an unbelievable job. All the guys were good, but a few guys did a tremendous job with leadership in my absence, and stability for Coach Davis. You know, in particular, Gary Clark, Octavius, Corey, Troy, those guys. They're stabilizing force in the locker room, and their consistency every day of helping some of the other guys through their ups and downs of the season. And then obviously Jermaine Sanders being our main senior was awesome. And I know Coach Davis was extremely appreciative of that. And we obviously we were able to continue our goals. Our goals this year were to get better, improve, and make the NCAA tournament. You know, I think a lot gets lost in the shuffle of a season. We had an unbelievable year considering where probably everybody in this room thought we were going to be. We outperformed where we were picked in probably. I know in all the resident geniuses' minds, and we have a few resident geniuses here. Were we picked in any preseason magazine to make the NCAA tournament? I don't think so.
Rothstein picked you because he loves you.
Yeah. I buy him dinner. There's a reason I buy him dinner. Other coaches make him pay. Yeah, I don't think we were picked in any preseason magazine to make the NCAA tournament. So the fact that the guys were able to continue that with the distraction of me going out is a credit to the entire program and where it's at and where we're poised to go. And you know, the most exciting thing is obviously for me to be back coaching. I'm most thankful to be healthy. I'll let you guys ask me about that to an extent. But the most exciting thing is our team is, you know, outside of Jermaine, everybody's back. We got some great recruits coming in. It's a great time to be the coach at Cincinnati. It's a great time to be a fan. You know, there's so much momentum in the program now. It's funny, you know, as I'm walking down here, I have flashbacks to when I was walking in to take the job 9 years ago, and then George is laughing at me of where it's all at now. And you know, in the last, just you know, since the NCAA tournament, the way the kids played and fought, especially against the probably best team in the last 20 years, you know, gives a lot of people hope for next year, and that doesn't include our recruits and who we may possibly add also in the spring. So. You know, for that reason, it's an exciting time. For me, you know, I think when you walk out there on senior day and you see everybody there already at 11:30 wearing red on a Ring of Red Day, and the positive vibes around our program is huge. It's a great. It's something that makes me feel honored to be the coach, but also I'm extremely proud of that because I have perspective on where that was years ago. So. That being said, as I walk through that arena, I'm excited about everything that our administration, especially Mike, has done to try to redo that arena. And it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. And, that's just another thing to be excited about. So in closing with the statement, I just want to thank my poor team doctor, Mike Donilworth. Poor guy's 20. I think Mike's 29 years old. His first year as team doctor, and the head coach goes down with a brain injury. Poor guy. There's a lot to go through if you're him now. He was a nervous wreck, but I appreciate everything he did for me. And then obviously the University Health, UC Health, and Mayfield Clinic, and our neurological department, in particular, Dr. Andaluz and Dr. Abruzzo. So. I'm sure you guys have some questions.
What have they told you about possibility of this happening again from a health standpoint? Is it free and clear, and the odds of you having this happen again?
Yeah, what happened? What I would tell you, the odds. What happened to me is a very low percentage thing. The one thing I'd like to say, this is important because there's a lot. I'm from Cincinnati. And I don't like all this attention. I just want to coach the team and build the program. I want to take our program to a Final Four. So this is all a distraction for me. That's how I look at it. Two things. It's not a result of a coach yelling. I get that one all the time. I'm cleared. So, and when I say that, it's because my artery is healed. I'm healthy. So. What I have it's spontaneous. It's no different than everybody else in that waiting room. It's called spontaneous dissection. They do not know what causes it. It's like, unfortunately, a lot of things that people get. I think what you have to understand is, if that wasn't the case, then obviously I would not be running around coaching basketball or doing whatever. But I will say that my doctors gave me a lot of credit for listening, so I'll take that because I think the reason I was honest about what I had and came out with it. I think a lot of people that do that, and I think you have a responsibility when you're in a public position to do that because I think that you're maybe in a position to help other people. They can identify, they may be going through some of the same things. I've shared in the media that I've had multiple letters and people reach out to me that had headaches and went and sought help and are in a better place and are gotten treatment for that. So, but it's over. Fortunately now it's over for me. It's a random thing. Obviously. Very low percentage random things. So I think, going forward, I can go back to worrying about being the son of Mick Cronin and my hereditary heart disease in my family.
What was it like when you went in for those tests? What went through your mind? I know you thought you were healthy, but
no. With the healing process, I tried to be very diligent with my rest. And do it all, but some people it takes 6 months.
I guess, was there any sense of what if I'm not healthy?
Yeah, because they could have taken 6 months instead of 3 months. But I tried to convey this. I think people read the original release, and there was a lot of concern and panic when they hear certain words. But my doctors, they were even the Dr. Andaluz he's the head of neurosurgery. Dr. Zuccarello is head of the whole department over there. They were adamant that I'd be returned to coaching. They were very positive about that from day one. So, but when you go back in for the test, obviously you're hoping it's over with. As crazy as it sounds, I'm thinking I need to be able to fly this spring to recruit. Yeah, That's what I was thinking.
Oh, what if this?
Because individual workouts are, I'm looking forward to getting back on the court with individual workouts, but we only got a couple weeks of that. It's more skill work than anything. It's not we're building our base of our team. Spring recruiting is really
So
important.
there was no thought that, what if this test doesn't turn out right, I might not be able to coach again?
I think that's another thing I would share with our fans. I think when you do what guys like myself do for a living, 95% of the people that know you only know you as the person coaching on television that looks upset at the referees and intense at all times. And I'm not really like that. I try to be positive at all times. Now, I run a major business, in a major college basketball program, but I tried to make sure that was not just going in for the test. It was 100 days of trying to make sure I was staying positive in the right frame of mind. I think that was really important.
So you carried that, try to carry that positive
Yeah.
into the test.
Yeah.
So at what point on the road, first road game, having a little bit of trouble, are you going to think, wish I was just home watching the game?
Well, I tell you this. I told Larry, he's one thing he's got issues. I'm way more apt to get thrown out now. I was always worried you can't get thrown out. You cost your team the game if you get thrown out. Now it's just a couple of free throws the way I look at it. I've never been thrown out before, so I'm dangerous. I could get thrown out.
When did you get cleared?
Well, I met with Dr. Andrews again this morning, but I knew last week.
Like Thursday?
Well, I've had a series of tests, and they've all gone well. But again, I try, I'm a coach, so we get to be, we don't like to jinx ourselves about anything. So I waited till all of it was really over. But then I wanted to meet with him this morning just to make sure I had some just questions and stuff like that.
Mick, did they suggest any lifestyle changes, anything like that necessary?
Yeah, not really, Pop. I mean, like the rest of us. The same thing you hear when you go to get a physical, buddy. I mean, the basic stuff that they ask you when you go in there that you shouldn't be doing.
Right. So. What was the hardest thing about this for you, and what was the best thing to come out of it, if there wasn't?
Well, hardest thing is not be. It was easy when we won. It was hard when we lost, because you feel like we would probably had the same record. So I give Larry all the credit in the world. So, but what I would say is just the feeling of inadequacy that you can't help. That's by far the hardest part. Because that's your team. And that you can't. There's nothing. You're not there with them. And it's important that for me, it was that they realized that that I was miserable as well, even though I wasn't there. I'm with them. That I wasn't on the beach somewhere, which I thought about. No, but that was hard. That was by far the hardest part. What was the second part of your question?
The best thing to come out of it?
Maturity as a person. I think as a coach now. A lot of times, as they went to go fly out to a game, I stayed. So the road games were the hardest part, because they would leave. They would practice and leave, and I'm sitting in there staring at the wall. Fortunately, I've been doing this for a long time, so it doesn't take me that long to scout the next game. I'd already seen that team, so all I'm doing is resting and sitting at home, and going. Coming to work and going home is really all I'm doing, other than getting something to eat. So. The downtime allowed me to evaluate college basketball a lot, and our program a lot. And from A to Z, things I've talked about with Mike, things we can improve on, from our arena, locker rooms, to the way we maybe recruit, to how we're going to fill the arena next year. I got a whole notepad of stuff that from a marketing standpoint, getting the kids out in the community more. Anything we can do to try to generate more interest in our program, to sell out our arena, just all that type of stuff. And aside from the boring part, the X's and O's part, the X's and O's part for me is, the more I watch, the more when you're not calling plays and you're not dictating things, and you're on that sideline, you blame yourself and you think you can control everything, but it's different. You know, when you're sitting there watching a game, you really realize that the good coaches, it's tic-tac-toe. You know, he's going to do that, I'm going to do this, and kids, but your kids go into SMU and take care of the ball in the second half, make every open shot, and don't let Nick Moore shoot, and your team wins. And you can go home thinking it's your game plan, but it's not. You know, it's your players executing. So I think you know, my belief in motivating players and how to get players to play at their best, and not just getting the best players, but just how to get them to play their best all the time versus what plays you're running.
You say you got some instructions, skill, whatever that is.
Skill workouts. We're allowed, yeah.
After this?
Yes.
You're headed right to that?
3:30, yep.
So you'll be on the court for all that?
Yep. We get 2 hours a week, so we do 3 minutes of 40 minutes, or 3 times we do 40-minute sessions.
Will this change you at all, Coach, the way you coach on the sidelines?
You know, it changed me as a person, absolutely. I mean, it's a life-changing experience. But you know, what I say to that is, to be honest with the answer is you're just more heightened to everything around you, to smelling the roses or smelling the coffee. You know, when something's taken away from you, your appreciation to lose a game and be miserable. I mean, you know, as bad as that sounds, you know, like part of me was, you know, I just want to be there, be miserable with my staff. Yeah. You know, I want to be miserable with them. You know, I want to have a stomach ache again because I can't eat because I'm miserable because my team's struggling. You know, just that type of stuff. Just, you know, your heightened appreciation for for your ability to be a normal person. You know, as far as coaching the game, during the game, you mean?
Sure, yeah.
Oh, I don't know. It depends on who's officiating. You know, again, I can really this is the one thing I want to reiterate to you medically. My arterial dissection is diagnosed as spontaneous. The majority of them are contact injuries. My doctors don't think it has anything to do with me yelling at an official or getting upset. You know, I think that's, you know, people say, well, why didn't you coach? Well, because now I have a soft tissue injury and I need to rest and let it heal. But yeah, it's random, really random. So, you know, yeah, I think coaching becomes a lot coaching is different every year depending on who's out there playing. You know, when you got a veteran team and they tend to do what you ask them to do a lot more consistently. So, you know, it's funny when I hear, you know, I've been here a long time now, 9 years, I've been 12 years a head coach. So when you have a veteran team, people say, oh, you look so much more calm. Well, we're 12-0. They're 12-0, we don't turn the ball over. You know, that's, so they say, well, you know, the kids seem more calm because you seem more calm. No. The kids are more calm because they're veterans and they're really good players. You know, it's not because I'm not getting upset. You know, it's got nothing to do with it. So that stuff amuses me. I enjoy that stuff quite a bit.
Mick, did it affect recruiting at all? I kind of wonder if anybody used it against you?
Well, that's another reason why we're here. You know, I don't work in the most noblest of business at times. You know, so I think it's important for the recruits we're going after now and the younger kids to know that you know, I've been diagnosed as healthy and I'm cleared 100% to come back to work and with no restrictions. So that's important. That's really the main reason we're here. Although I, you know, enjoy seeing you guys, and I want to thank a lot of people, but and try to generate interest, you know, try to sell out this place next year. But recruiting's the biggest. You know, it's your lifeblood. You know, recruiting and scheduling are the two most important things, and when you have my job. So, you know, we'll see, but we've tried to stay active as much as we can with dealing with it. Fortunately, we signed 3 guys early, but I'm sure that they were reached out to a few times.
Looking to next year, as the media was kind of dying down in that locker room after the Kentucky game, I look over and Shaq's kind of in the corner just talking out loud. And LD talked about it too after the game. Does he seem like maybe that senior light clicked right away for him, or was it maybe just frustration knowing you guys were close? And
yeah, I mean, he was. I think the biggest thing I would tell you about us is, we were insulted at some of the media in the way we were approached in our questioning before that game. And I know nobody meant anything by it. I get how good they were, but we're not a mid-major program. Kids came here to win championships and try to go to Final Four, so we expected to win the game. Although people may say you're crazy, well, I think that's been diagnosed. So that's something that we try to. The way we built the program is we decide, our players decide, we make a decision here to be coached and to play and do what we have to do to be successful, and regardless of our opponent, so. Shaq is a guy who's been in the locker room. He's beat the -- team in the country before. I mean, we expect to win every game. So he was definitely frustrated. But I think, the positive from that is that you hope that playing that game gave our guys a glimpse of what we're capable of. Now, my job and our staff's job here, starting at 3:30, is we got to make sure that our guys understand that we're going to hold them to that standard, that we're going to hold them accountable to that, that we plan on playing on that stage next year, but there's going to have to be a lot of work to be put in, a lot of work. We can't just sit here and say, well, hey, we got everybody back but Jermaine, and this is a long off season, and we got some guys. Hopefully, what they gained this year in maturity, and what they gained as a bond as teammates is going to fuel them to put in the work. You can't just show up next year and say we got everybody back. We got a lot of work to do to get where we want to go next year. So I told Shaq, my message. I loved everything he had to say, and I loved that he said it in talking about next year. But if we've tried to explain anything to our guys, that hard work equals success. So it's time for us to put in the hard work. We got to get to work, and we got to make sure that we're able to live up to some of the expectations that our fans are going to have for us next year. Because I'm sure, I love the fact that in that game we probably raised expectations, but we got to live up to them.
Mick, with the success you guys had, Larry's names came up a lot.
Yeah.
Coaching vacancies. Have you two talked about that? What kind of advice can you maybe share that you've given him?
Yes, Larry's definitely he's been contacted. He's actually met with a school. He's got another school to meet with, and his name should come up for a lot of vacancies. And I think that's something that we're all proud of. I think that probably the biggest. The biggest mark you can have as a programmer, as a head coach, when people want your players and want your assistant coaches and like the way you do things. So we're really proud of that. We don't want Larry to leave, obviously, but the chance to be a head coach again is something that any assistant would want. But I think he's only going to do that if it's in his best interest. I think he's definitely had the 9 years of a tough situation. But that being said, if the right one presented itself, I think it's something that he's definitely listening and looking. He's not hunting it down. People have contacted him, but I can assure our fans, though, if they knew him like some of the people in this room know him, he's the same. He got his breakfast this morning and ate it in his office, and he hasn't hung up his phone, and he's still in. I'll have to send a manager to get him to make sure he's on time for workouts, because he'll be in there. He's a relentless recruiter. He recruits at 58. He recruits like he's 28. I've never seen anything like it in our business, because in our business, everybody can't wait to stop recruiting. Everybody hates recruiting. As the coaches get older, Larry loves it. He can't get it. He loves the chase. He loves the hunt. He's got a saying, keep turning stones. you eventually find gold under one of them. So he loves it. So we'll see. If he does happen to get a coaching job, I know that we'll all be happy for him. We'll have a great grill out at my house, but we'll see where it's at.
Along those same lines, I think we got to ask, you've been contacted in the past and big jobs open. Anyone tried to lure you away?
Oh, you know, I'm the only guy that has an agent that doesn't need one. You know, I have no interest, none. So it's you know, what the only job I have an interest in is the Cincinnati job and getting it done. And extremely excited about next year. I'm interested in any side jobs I can get with Mike Bone as far as helping him do what he's trying to do to elevate our program behind the scenes with our arena and all that type of stuff. We got work to do here, so I think there's plenty of work. But I appreciate you asking that, but it's pretty basic answer with me at this point. I feel extremely fortunate to have the job I want. And I'd say advice I give to Larry, Darren on my staff has had some people talk to him. You know, I think you have to identify in life, this is a maturity thing, what you want out of life. You know, and for me, I have a great appreciation that I am the coach at Cincinnati. So, you know, I don't view other people may, like I see things and I chuckle that people may say that certain jobs are better college basketball jobs than Cincinnati. I don't look at it that way. Now, obviously, I'm biased. I'm biased. You know, I look at, you know, at where we're at and where we can go and how close we are to getting there. And there's some pieces to that. We're going to get them all done. But when I look at my career, I look at guys like Jim Calhoun, Jim Boeheim, of guys that I look up to, because I think what they did, because they stayed, their programs are considered the type of programs that I want Cincinnati to be considered. And Coach Huggins stayed here 16 years, or that wouldn't have happened. And you know, obviously some momentum was lost because of the way he left, and we're gaining it back now. And I just believe that if I can keep doing a good job of hiring the right staff, keep working, keep recruiting, and our administration continues to support us the way they want to, that the Cincinnati job is going to be talked about the way they talk about some of these other jobs. But to me, it's the best job. So, but obviously, I have personal reasons as to why it's the best job as well.
Boeheim, Calhoun, so we got you for what, another 30 years or so?
Well, I started a lot earlier than those guys. You got to remember that. I'm pretty far up. This is my 24th year of coaching. I'm 43.
You may have touched on this. Going forward, do you have to go back like in 3 months, 6 months for another checkup?
I'm like you, Gresh, and this is what I told Hugs when I ran into him in recruiting. I'm in a lot better shape than you, buddy.
Most of us.
I did tell him that. I'm just being honest, George. I'm being aggressive, nothing against you, but I think if we both got a physical right now, I'm in better shape than you.
Oh, I would not doubt that. My question is, you need to go back.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'll get checked up periodically, but
Yeah.
you know, nothing out of the ordinary.
I am in better shape than Hugs, though. I think most of
I was about to say, Gresh. Way to go out on a limb, buddy. Way to go out on a limb. I thought you were going to say George when you look behind you.
No,
I got Hugs beat, I think.
I was just kidding. Now we're beating on my buddy. He had a great year. I got to leave him
He
alone.
did have a good year. One last thing on my mind, you mentioned arena twice. Is that fast tracking where something may get done?
I know our administration, and since I signed my contract and Mike came on board, you know, the thing about Mike is he's extremely aggressive. The thing about, and I say this, the thing about Mike versus some other athletic directors, that you got, when you have the experience and you're not a first-time AD, because Whit is a very good friend of mine. We're personal friends. But there's so much that goes into a major project that you've got to to tackle something like that, you got to be pretty secure. You know, you've got to have been around the block a few times. You know, you're at the beginning of your career, you tend to kind of, it would probably, if I was your advisor, play it safe. Versus, you know, somebody that's been around the block a few times and can't wait to tackle that project. And let's figure out how to get it done. Because it kind of puts stuff on your shoulders, you know, so I feel fortunate in that. That's, you know, talking about catching breaks along the way, and like I say, you know, that you got to give Whit credit because of what he did to start the Nippert Stadium thing. You know, now that obviously is huge for us as we up our profile for going forward in the college landscape, all that type of stuff. But to then come right behind it and start talking about the arena and what everything that's got to happen. I mean, you got to talk to Mike about details on that. Obviously, he tells me coach and recruit. That's what I try to do. You know, I'm happy I'm back to coaching and recruiting. So, but with that, the best thing I can do is try to put out the best product possible and the most excitement. I think we're in a good place with that. I would tell you, though, I said this last year with the contract thing. If I didn't think it was going to happen, I would have told you. I'm confident that it's going to happen. But you know, when I don't know about all that stuff. Again, like for me, it's always been such a long-term approach. I'm just happy it's happening. You know, so you know, I'm not like some coaches that have come in here with ultimatums. I'm not leaving anyway, George. So. You know, I'm just happy it's happening, and there's people here that want it to happen in our administration, and you know, I think that when it does happen, it's going to be a great thing, not a good thing. It's going to be awesome. From what I've seen behind the scenes, it's going to be awesome. The day it does come into fruition.
Any other questions?
Thanks, guys.
Welcome back.